Hi, thank you for watching this installation of 6th grade life science. Today we're going to be talking about the structure and function of DNA. But before we get into that, we need to know a little bit about the history of the discovery of DNA. And there are 4 scientists that we want to talk about briefly. And the first is 2 scientists named Franklin and Wilkins. And their contribution to the discovery of DNA is they obtained images of DNA using X-ray machines. And Watson and Crick, from those X-rays images, were able to develop the model of DNA as the double helix. So they developed the double helix model. So what exactly is this DNA? Well, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. And it has a very special function in our bodies. It holds all of the genetic information that's needed for cells to make protein. And these proteins determine a variety of traits. And traits are kind of like what you look like. So the color of your hair, color of your eyes, how tall you are, and even how your food is digested. These proteins produced by DNA basically control everything about how we look and how our body functions. And you can see in this image the shape of it, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So now, where is DNA located? Well, I think we can figure out that it's located in our cells, but it's located in a very specific place, and that is the nucleus. You might recall this from our unit on cell organelles. Now, the one exception to this rule is the red blood cell. They do not have a nucleus, so they do not have DNA. Now, DNA within the nucleus is very tightly wound into chromosomes, and you can see in the picture that those X-shaped figures, those are chromosomes, which is tightly wound DNA. And as the chromosomes unwind, the DNA structure becomes more visible. You can see in the picture this DNA is unwinding, and as it unwinds, if you follow along to the green, you can see the actual structure of the DNA. And now let's talk about that structure of the DNA. DNA has the shape of a double helix. If you go back to the original slide with the picture that was rotating, you could see the 3-dimensional shape of DNA, which is a double helix, which looks like a twisted ladder or a spiral staircase. But here in this picture, we have it kind of laying flat, so that we can get a better look at some of the components of DNA. Now, the sides or backbone of the DNA molecule is made of sugar molecules and phosphate molecules. And then the rungs, those are the horizontal portions of the molecule that connect the 2 backbone portions of the molecule. The rungs are made of nitrogen base pairs. We're going to talk about nitrogen base pairs in an upcoming slide. Okay, so now let's talk about nitrogen base pairs. There are 4 nitrogen bases in the DNA molecule, and they are cytosine, we'll represent that with a C, guanine, which is represented with a G, thymine, represented with a T, and adenine, represented with an A. And the reason that we call them nitrogen base pairs is because if you look in this picture, you're looking at a DNA molecule and the letters are making up the rungs. Those nitrogen bases make up the rungs of that double helix structure. And they pair up in a very specific way. You can see that it's not just a guanine, it's a guanine and a cytosine. So they occur in pairs. And the way they pair up, C and G are always paired together. But it could be in the opposite order. It could either be CG or GC. But C and G are always paired together. And T and A are always paired together as well. It might be TA or it might be AT. But T and A always go together. I'm a very visual person, so when I look at these letters, I see that C and G are very curvy. They're round in shape, so they match each other pretty well. And A and T are both very angular, so they match together. Now, another way you could remember it is with the little mnemonic GCAT. So GCAT, GCAT. Then you know that G and C go together and A and T go together. Okay, well now this brings us to the topic of genes. And genes are sections of base pairs. So you have a sequence of base pairs within a DNA molecule. Those make up a gene. And they have a very specific sequence. And each of those genes are what passes traits from offspring. Each gene codes for a trait that gets passed from parent to offspring. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope this has helped you review what we learned in class about DNA.